Good evening, everyone. I'm John Minus, and this is the first, hopefully of many, episodes of Negative Thoughts with John Minus. Tonight's episode, I've needed to get something off my chest for a while now. And what it is I feel like there is a certain group of people, individuals, African American individuals, who are not getting their due in the world. And now with the popularity of Black Airmen, apparently, because we had Tuskegee Airmen, the movie, and now we are also having Red Tails, which is kind of like Star Wars in World War II with the inverse proportion of Negroes to white people that Star Wars had, if you understand what I mean there. Anyway, there are a group of African Americans who have served our country with distinction, fighting terrorism all over the world and have not gotten their due.
Good job.
And I am talking about Black G.I. Joes. Now, G.I. Joe in a post-racial America is a very odd thing, because I don't know if you have Hub, or if you've seen G.I. Joe Renegades, you know that one, they stole the story from A-Team for some reason. But in a lot of other ways, it's much better than regular G.I. Joe. It's by Jeff Kline, who did the Men in Black cartoon, and it's the same animators too. So it's pretty good, because the Men in Black cartoon was really good. I think they did Jackie Chan Adventures too, but I'm not sure. Anyway. Sorry, I realized that I was kind of being drowned out by Sci-Fi's new show that is yet another ripoff of an idea that I came up with, but didn't tell anybody about. Well, no, I did print it on the internet, so. It's this Lost Girls show. It's about succubus. I wrote a story about a succubus. I really have to find a way to get my stories to these networks because they're better than what they're putting on, but they're the same thing, so never mind. Like I said, Black G.I. Joes. In a post-racial Obama United States, there are now way more, not way more, because but there's more Black Joes than there were. In G.I. Joe Renegades, there's actually a Black Dreadnought as well, and I don't know if that's actually the biggest progress, because if you look throughout G.I. Joe's history, there are no Black Cobras. There's actually only one non-white Cobra, who is Storm Shadow. And I've noticed this in comic books as well, that for some reason, as much as there is a dearth of Black heroes, there are no Black villains. Which is crazy, because in TV, it's the opposite way. Like, Black people are always criminals, and they're never the good guys. But in fantasy and comic books and everything, always the good guys, never the bad guys. Like, can you really think of a Black supervillain? Like, or a big bad guy? Huh. Because there's a Black Dreadnought now in G.I. Joe Renegades. And I think that's progress. Also, Ripcord is Black now. But they actually did that in the G.I. Joe movie. It was one of the Wayans was Ripcord, the fighter pilot, which he actually isn't a fighter pilot. There's a lot of things wrong with that movie, but Ripcord isn't a fighter pilot. He is he's a Halo guy. He's a high altitude. He's a paratrooper basically. So he can fly, but he's basically a paratrooper. Sorry. I live in a really big house, and I'm really all alone in it. So whenever I hear really loud stuff, it kind of sets me on edge. Turns out it was just the wind. Anyway, as I was saying, these Joes need to be acknowledged for the good they've done for our country. And even though in this day and age that we're having, we have Black Dreadnoughts, and we have, for some reason, another Black Ripcord. It doesn't matter. The thing is that it's important that kids see that these people have served our country, and today I just saw in the news that a Navy, a black naval person. He was on a ship that got bombed. It got hit by 9 kamikaze pilots, and he helped keep the fires away from the main guns, which would have blown up the whole ship. So he saved the whole ship, essentially. And he just today got his medal for it from the Secretary of the Navy, 66 years later. And I don't want it to be 66 years until these Joes get their recognition. So I want to see a movie. I want to see a Red Tails for the Joes. I want to see a Green Tails because, G.I. Joe, their colors kind of army green. A lot of them are from the Army. All the black ones are from the Army, actually, as well. But what you didn't know is that, you probably didn't know, they all have backstories, like pretty detailed backstories. And in New G.I. Joe, they actually connected 2 of their backstories. They made, because there is a Roadblock and there's Heavy Duty. And they basically do the same thing. Like Heavy Duty was basically the newer version of Roadblock. But Roadblock's probably the one we all know the most. He was the one who was bald, he had the mustache, and he rhymed when he talked, and he cooked. And his thing, his military specialty is infantry heavy weapons. So he carries really big guns. Fine. Kind of like Terry Crews in the Expendables. Who would have been an excellent Roadblock, actually. He was Roadblock, for all intents and purposes, in that movie. Roadblock... I mean, I'd like to say he was at the forefront of the black movement in G.I. Joe, but he rhymed when he talked, and that... I don't know why they do that. Like, I really don't, but whatever. He was cool, he was there, he was important. Roadblock was awesome. He's from Biloxi, Mississippi, and Heavy Duty... I'm just going to check for a second. Heavy Duty... I'm going to get to Alpine in a second. The weird thing about Joes, the black Joes, is that 2 of them, their specialties are in cold climates. So obviously the writers knew nothing about black people, but we'll get to that later. Heavy Duty is from Chicago, Illinois. Heavy Duty in the G.I. Joe Renegades, Heavy Duty and Roadblock are cousins. And they were both born in Biloxi, Mississippi, but Heavy Duty left the family and went to Chicago. So on here, and I love cartoons that do their homework. Because on there, they had an episode with Heavy Duty and Roadblock. And Roadblock's on the run because he's part of the A-Team squad, and Heavy Duty's part of the Joes that are hunting them down. Incidentally, the ones who are hunting them down are mostly Lady J and Flint. And Flint is kind of a dick. But Flint's usually a dick. To some extent. And Lady J, for some reason, sounds like Rosie Perez. But she's from Martha's Vineyard. So I don't quite see how that comes together. There's a lot more ethnic Joes in general in Renegades. There's Lady J, sounds Puerto Rican. Tunnel Rat is from Brooklyn, but he's Asian, and he was always I thought he was Mexican, but apparently he was always Asian, even like back in the movie. Jinx is Japanese, which I thought. Storm Shadow is Storm Shadow, and like I said, there was Ripcord and the others. But the Lady J thing is still kind of throwing me. So Heavy Duty, his major thing is laser weapon system, just heavy duty weapon systems. The secondary specialty is indirect fire infantryman. So his secondary is shooting things. His first thing is shooting things. His second thing is shooting things. But anyway. In Renegades, he moved away so he could get away from his southern roots. Because basically he didn't want to be attributed to... It was kind of a city mouse, country mouse sort of thing. which actually exists with black people, because you know northern black people and southern black people have completely different cultures, and a lot of us have family, live in one place, have family in the other place. And it was actually, this episode was, how can I put it, like the insight into the dynamics between black people who get higher education and black people who kind of stay at home, because that's why Heavy Duty left to go to college. He was the first one in their family to go to college. Roadblock just joined the army. Roadblock wanted to be a cook, so he joined the army to be a cook because their recruiters told him he cooked there. They lied to him. And they show like the dynamics between like, you know, the black person who, you know, left the family, got his education and forgot where he came from, and the black person who stayed at home and was, you know, closer to the family and the roots and their family roots, and you know the whole, I guess, milieu of the black experience. And even it was weird because like Heavy Duty spoke white kind of like I do, and even though Roadblock doesn't, you know, talk black, he doesn't talk like he's from the hood or anything, but he was more country. He was definitely more country, and Roadblock was more city. And it was a very interesting dynamic that I've never seen on a cartoon before. I mean, that wasn't like Static or Fat Albert or something. But just to see it in the middle of G.I. Joe was just amazing. It was awesome. So yeah, let's give it up for, if you can, highly recommend G.I. Joe Renegades. Heavy Duty, Roadblock. Great characters. Now let's move down the list here. Now we have Doc. Doc was one of the first black characters to ever appear on G.I. Joe. And I've got like there were like 6 black characters here. There wasn't any 80s cartoon that had 6 black characters on it. So G.I. Joe was ahead of its time in that respect. That's probably why I liked it, you know? I mean, it wasn't even that the black characters were my favorite. It's just that they were there doing stuff. And they weren't stereotypes. They were just like all the other Joes. That was probably because they only had like 3 voice actors. But still, they were just like anybody else. And that was cool. You don't see that a lot. Especially today, which is bad. Doc was from Concord, Massachusetts. He was the doctor. He's the field doc. An intelligence specialist. And he was there from the beginning. Later on, he got replaced. Actually, and I've been ranting about this on Twitter. My Twitter is Don Coyote. If you are not familiar, you should be. Or you can search for J Cybertronica. Yeah, it's weird. Doc is every night I've been going on because I've been watching G.I. Joe on Hub, and they've been showing the post-movie ones. And Lifeline is in it instead of Doc. And Lifeline is a pacifist, and I call him the biggest sissy-wussy just loser in the world, because he wears those stupid sunglasses, he never wants to hit anything. He's just useless. He's generally useless. The fuck are you gonna be in a war and not want to kill anything? But anyway, I'm reading here, and this is, like, I'm reading the actual cards that were on the back of... If you know G.I. Joe, like, the G.I. Joe figures, the old one, the original ones, because the new ones, they have cards, but they're stupid. The original ones were really almost like military files. They were pretty cool. They used, like, military terminology, and... What is going on in this show? Next time. Next time we're going to talk about sci-fi and their shows. But they almost read like real military files about the character. So it turns out Doc was a pacifist too, but he didn't come off as quite like the wussy that Lifeline does. So Lifeline just always whined, and Doc was just, you know, he was there, he was doing his job. What's cool about Doc though is that he's a legacy apparently, because yeah, it's his niece, because it says that Doc was her uncle. He has a niece who I've never seen her. I don't think she was ever in a cartoon, but she has a card too. Her name is Carla Greer, and Doc was Carl Greer. So he's basically girl Doc, but her Joe code name is Doc too, and she went into the army to take after her uncle. So that's cool. She's the only black woman in all of G.I. Joe, male, Cobra or G.I. Joe. The only black woman. Why are there no black women? Like, whenever they make black characters, they're always men. Like, why are there no black women? I mean, Hasbro, they did research for Hasbro. They said that, oh, well, you know, they were saying that girl characters weren't selling in general. Because they had Lady J, they had CoverGirl, they had Scarlet, they had Jinx. I think there was another one. But yeah, so they had a black girl. Medical doctor, codenamed G.I. Joe, codenamed Doc. Carla Greer. So that was cool. I just found that out tonight. Then we have Stalker. Stalker is another one who was around from the beginning. He was probably one of the first black G.I. Joes you saw. Maybe even before Doc, and I think even before Roadblock. Stalker was just badass. His name was Stalker because his job was to hunt people down and kill them. Let me just read you his... First of all, alright, let me just read this to you. Stalker was warlord of a large urban street gang in Detroit prior to enlistment. So he was basically a Blood or a Crip leader in Detroit. And he's like, I'm gonna join the army. I'm sick of this. His primary specialty is infantry. His secondary specialty is medic and interpreter. He knows 5 languages. But let me show you the the description of Stalker's the description of Stalker as a person. Functions well under high-stress situations, intelligent, perceptive, moves like some sort of jungle cat, silent, fast, strong. So even though they started, you know, intelligent, cool under fire, still like a jungle cat. Still black, still like a panther. He's fluent in Spanish, U.S. Army training, a host of machine guns, proficient. I never knew that. Like, Stalker is literally from the hood. Like, most of the other Joes are kind of like middle class. Stalker's from the hood and went into the army and became more dangerous. Stalker is amazing. Stalker needs his own damn movie, if you ask me. Fuck Rambo. I want Stalker coming to get me. He will kill everybody. Everybody. I always like Stalker. No. I'm saving him for last. And then on the opposite end of the seriousness spectrum is Alpine. Now, if you know Alpine, they always paired Alpine with Bazooka. And Bazooka was semi-retarded. His Bazooka was mildly developmentally delayed. That's the way I'm supposed to say it. To say the least. But he had a bazooka, and he seemed to have a really hard head, so they kept him around. He was a G.I. Joe, but he wore a t-shirt into battle. I think that says enough about Bazooka. And they paired him, he was always paired with Alpine, who, specialty, he's a mountain trooper and a finance clerk. How many black people do you see climbing mountains and doing finances? More during finances, less climbing mountains. But anyway, that's his thing. And on his show, he would always like to yodel. And the weird thing about him was that, well, he wasn't the darkest guy. He was kind of DeBarge. No, he wasn't DeBarge light skin. He was like Ray Parker Jr. light skin. So he was, yeah, I guess, you know, maybe that light skin made him like the snow skiing. I don't know, whatever. He was cool. Bazooka and Alpine were, they were there for humor. But whatever. He was cool. He was useful, you know. He wasn't just a side. That's the other thing. None of these guys were sidekicks. Like, none of them were like relegated to like, yes, like shucking and jiving, you know, taking orders from Duke or Flint or whatever. They were all character individuals on their own who existed on their own. And that was cool too, because you didn't see a lot of that. I mean, he wasn't Falcon to Captain America. Not that there's anything wrong with Falcon. I like Falcon. But I'm just saying, as an example. And his Roadblock. Anyway, there was another ice guy. There were a few ice guys. There was Snowjob, there was Avalanche, there was Frostbite. Snowjob, greatest code name ever. But out of all the ice troopers, there was one who was actually who was black, and he was like really black. What was his name? It was Ice something. But yeah, he was on the episode I saw tonight, and I was like, wow, there's a black guy who skis. So I was pretty shocked, to tell you the truth. But there he was, and he had lines and everything. Oh, he had to save lifelines, dumbass, because I think it's Iceberg. Iceberg. Black is the ace of spades. But you couldn't buy him. He was only available through mail order. There were a lot of Transformers like that too. You only had to buy him. You can only buy him by order. And he was made from all new body parts. They reused a lot of parts when they made G.I. Joes. Oh, here we go. His file card. Iceberg. Snow Trooper. Name, Clifton L. Nash. Infantry. Cold weather survival instructor from Brownsville, Texas. He's from Texas, and he is... Alright. I don't understand this at all. Iceberg hates hot weather. Oh, he hated the hot weather. In Texas in the summer, you can spit on the sidewalk and watch it sizzle. So while he saved up for bicycles, he saved up for an air conditioner. When he was old enough to enlist, he signed up and asked for duty in Alaska. It's me! It's me! If I was a G.I. Joe, I would be Iceberg. I hate it when it's hot. I hate it. I hate the summer. I hate the sun. This is what I should have done with my life. My guidance counselor was a loser. I should have enlisted in the Army and asked to be sent to Alaska. I could have been a G.I. Joe. And we have plenty of cold weather specialists that can stand the cold well enough, but very few like it. Iceberg's just not happy until the mercury dips below zero. He looks so angry. His picture, he looks so angry. I highly encourage you to look all these people up because I don't know how to put them into the video. So that's that. Oh. I wish I was done, but I'm not done. There's one more. If any of you saw the G.I. Joe movie, not the that farce that they just came out with recently, the 1987 movie. You know about Big Lob. His name is Big Lob. Big Lob. There were 4 new Joes in the movie. I forgot what they were. I think they were part of. I think they were called the Renegades too. But there was Jinx. There was Tunnel Rat. There were 4 of them. Who was the 4th one? Huh. There was Jinx and the Tunnel Rat, and then there was Big Lob, who was a basketball player. He was a basketball player who threw grenades instead of basketballs. Again, he's wearing a t-shirt. He's wearing a basketball jersey with a bandolier with grenades on it. Thankfully, I don't think I saw him much after the movie. And that's probably for the best. I don't expect him to show up in Renegades. Hopefully, if there is any justice in the world, he will not show up in Renegades. Oh, here we go. Oh, also he only talks about himself in third person. So he has a speech impediment like Roadblock. We do not want that coming back. Roadblock was bad enough. He's a reservist anyway. Let me see. Big Lob. Rawhides. Rawhides. That was it. Oh, the 4th one was I remember who the 4th one was. He was related to Flint. They all sucked. I don't know why they brought in this character because he was basically just an extra Flint. And Beachhead was the head of them. Sergeant Slaughter, the Renegades, Falcon. Falcon. That's who it was. Falcons. It was Falcon, Jinx, Blob, and Tunnel Rat. They were the Rawhides. Lord have mercy. I don't even want to get into this whole Sergeant Slaughter. Oh God. Then there was the thing where G.I. Joe started bringing in like real people and making them Joes. Like there was Sergeant Slaughter, and as much as I hate to freaking admit it, there was William Refrigerator Perry. William Refrigerator Perry, the G.I. Joe. That happened. That happened. Well, I think I'm about done. I just wanted to say that we need to never forget the Black Joes who, well, none of them ever died because nobody really died in G.I. Joe, but who shot their lasers and missed, oftentimes, at Cobra so that we could live our way of life. Who saved the Statue of Liberty in the best movie opening of all time. Say what you will about the G.I. Joe movie, the opening and the opening song, the Cobra, awesome. If you don't think that's awesome, you might be dead. And that's all I have to say about that. This has been Negative Thoughts with John Minus. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like it, comment, do whatever, and there will be more of these.